Good evening, darlings. So I got a lovely message from the wonderful Tumblr user Peggaboo, who asks if I could talk about the Istari. So we call them Ithrin here in the Greenwood because we don't like to use that filthy Noldor tongue, so we don't really talk about them as such. But you know, they've done quite a lot of good in Middle Earth. The wizards, you know, they of course started with a very glorious mission. There's one in particular who more prefers to sort of meddle, which I think is kind of ironic given the fact that he was too afraid to come in the first place. But you know, he's older than me and people changed over the years, you know, darling. They do change, just not always for the better. So, at least he's just not scared of everything anymore. I suppose that's something, but he really does meddle far too much in the affairs of all of the free folk, you know. It's just because you have a power to do something doesn't mean you should use it. And you know, for someone that spouts that sort of thing all the time, he certainly doesn't take his own advice, does he? No, not so much. But anyhow, they've done very, very many good things. And the wizard commonly called Radagast, you know, I quite like him. You know, we have very similar missions, you know, particularly taking care of the environment, and he sort of stays very close on the edge of my woods from time to time, and I'm perfectly happy with letting him have free rein. He's the only one that I really allow to just sort of do what he wants without any concern, because I know he'll be respectful of everything and everywhere within my wood, and so I really do appreciate his sort of mentality, and he cares about, and of course it makes a lot of sense, but he cares a lot more about sort of nature and the things that all the other wizards sort of seem to have forgotten about a little bit because they're too busy trying to set up mortals on quests or romances or what have you. I don't even want to know. There's so much going on, you know. But I do appreciate all the good that they have done. You know, even if there was so much meddling and I could have been saved a lot of stress and anxiety if a certain one would sort of, I don't know, give people sort of a heads up about what's going on. I think that's the expression that you all young people use, don't you, darlings? So yes, so if I could just have a little bit of advance warning, that would have been highly appreciated. But no, couldn't have that, could we? Of course not. We're wizards, we just come and go as we please. So, you know, it was sort of sad, of course, what happened with, what is the name that the mortals tend to call him? Saruman, you know, because he was a very great wizard, and, you know, he also cared a lot about the environment as well as other things, but he, unfortunately, fell to the darkness, as many do, you know, that the power that Sauron had is no joke. The Dark Lord had many ways to seduce, you know, even the greatest of peoples, and so I think it's sort of a lesson we should all learn from. And I don't really have much else to say. There's really only one wizard that I sort of have regular dealings with, and I prefer not to. It's just not sort of a positive thing, and I've already talked in sort of my rumor one about some of the things that I've heard about him, and of course he's best friends with someone I don't like at all. You know, nothing against her, she's a perfectly good ruler and all that, but I just don't want anything to do with her, darlings, you know how it is. So I'm just going to stop there, because I could just go on, and it's probably rather boring for you all. So, cheers again, darling, thank you so much. And have just a wonderful evening. Ta-ta.